So Thanksgiving is upon us. Hi, my name's Tom, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing if you found this video helpful, informative, or entertaining. Back to the video. So what are some common mistakes that people make when cooking their Thanksgiving turkey? Okay, I think the most common mistake is seasoning right before you're going to cook the bird. And you kind of need to think ahead. If you want to taste your turkey, then you need to consider seasoning ahead of time. You want to allow all of that seasoning, all of that flavor, that aroma to actually season and penetrate into the bird. And that's to an extent, right? So you're not going to get like seasoning all the way through, but allow all of that salt, pepper, garlic, if you're stuffing the bird, lemon, rosemary, whatever. Give it some time to do its magic before cooking it and then burning everything off. So season ahead of time, let it do its thing, and then cook the bird. Likewise, the next most common thing that I see, and it's usually again related to prepping, but consider salt brining. Salt brining is an excellent way to really enhance the turkey. Now there's dry brining, which I don't recommend for a turkey or a chicken in general, because unlike steak, which is flat, a turkey, a bird, chicken, so forth, has a lot of complexity. So I highly recommend wet brining, which is pretty much the same thing, but you guessed it. You basically make a water salt slurry and then you dump the turkey in there. Usually for around 10 to 12 hours or overnight, but you don't want to overdo it because you can get a really salty turkey if you don't take it out in time. But basically you buy a food grade 5-gallon drum or a 10-gallon drum, depending on how large your turkey is, but you fill it up with water and then you fill it up with a lot of salt, and the key is to use a lot of salt. Dump the turkey in there, close the lid, put it in your refrigerator, and leave it there for around 10 hours or maybe overnight, something like that. And just let it do its thing. But pro tip, make sure when you take it out, wash it thoroughly, because it's a lot of salt. It's a lot of salt water, and it's getting into like all the little cavities of the turkey and the bird, and it's going to be too salty. So just kind of rinse it off a little bit, give it a little wash. You may think it's counterintuitive, but actually that salt water has penetrated through, and you're going to get a very flavorful bird. Likewise, it's going to help crisp up that skin a little bit. Okay, another very common mistake that I see is not using a thermometer. Thermometers have came a long way now. There's wireless thermometers with multiple sensors that can handle open flames and so forth. A thermometer is your friend. Don't try to guess. Don't try to use charts. You know, those old school charts where they give you the weight of the bird and the temperature you're going to cook it in the oven for, and then they give you a time, right? An estimated time, approximately 3 hours, 3 hours and a half, and so forth. Nothing wrong with those. I mean, our parents and everyone else that grew up with those charts did fine, right? But not all ovens are the same. So your mileage may vary and you may not get the best turkey at the end of the day. And this video is about getting the best turkey you can get for Thanksgiving. So use a thermometer. A thermometer goes a long way. They're relatively cheap now. There's so many options out there. And if you can't afford a wireless one, no problem. Use a wired probe thermometer. They're just as good. Monitor those temperatures. And if you can, get those multiple sensored units or multiple probes and monitor several different locations and just keep an eye on things. I guarantee you're going to have a perfect bird. Another mistake that I see is cooking at really high temperatures, and it's usually equates to not being patient. We're all guilty of this. You may have a family member that becomes impatient, gets a little too hungry, and you turn the knob just a little bit. Don't do that. Stick to your guns. At the end of the day, you're going to get a better bird, a better turkey, a better meal. And likewise, try to prep ahead of time. You know, I know it's very chaotic the day of, but prepping, getting everything ready, making sure you mark your starting point that will get you at the dinner time that everyone's coming or whatever time you're going to eat is crucial, and stick to that schedule. So prep and make sure you stick to your schedule. Here's another one, and this isn't necessarily a common mistake, but there can be a lot of mistakes made with this technique, but don't be afraid of deep frying your turkey. I've been deep frying my turkey for Thanksgiving for a long time, and by far it's my favorite way to cook Thanksgiving, because not only are you going to get a very juicy bird, that has crispy skin that's absolutely delicious, but it's actually not that bad. It's not that hard, and it's sort of a set it and forget it type of thing. If you mind all of the safety precautions and you use common sense, don't try to be a goofball. Yes, there's lots of videos out there with deep frying horrors and people's houses catching on fire, but it usually equates to two common mistakes. One, using way too much oil. Two, having way too hot of a temperature to begin with, and there's no reason for any of that. In my opinion, the two most popular ways to deep fry a turkey, there's the propane route where I'm sure you've seen it, lots of videos of people in their backyards with a big 5-10 gallon pot, and then they have a propane burner and they go to town. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely the cheaper route, and you can get a really great kit that even has the notches marked out for you for the oil, depending on the size bird and all that good stuff. But then there's also the other method, the electrical method, and there's many different companies now that do it, but that one is like almost foolproof. Comes with a lid, everything's marked out for you. There's even a timer. I mean, very, very simple to do. It is a bit more costly in my opinion because I like to use peanut oil. I just think it's fantastic. I love the flavor. So you do have to buy a lot of oil, but at the end of the day, the bird's far more superior. I've done barbecued, I've smoked turkey, I've done it traditionally in the oven, I've deep fried it, and deep frying is always fan favorite for everybody that comes over. So try it out. Don't be afraid of it. Another mistake with deep frying is people usually put in a frozen turkey or even a really wet turkey. That's a big no-no. Okay. All that ice, that frozen ice that's in your turkey becomes water, adds to the volume of everything, and boom, right? Oil, hot oil, and water don't mix. You're going to get a grease fire and things are going to get very, very chaotic. So make sure you have a dry turkey, mind the amount of oil that you're going to be using, and mind your temperatures, and you should be okay. If you're nervous about how much oil you should use, pro tip, the day before, grab your container, add in some water, place your turkey in there, and see how high the level rises, and then mark it. Put a little notch or whatever. Just make sure you dry everything out completely. The next day, you have an idea of how much oil you need to add. You don't need to add that much, trust me. There's a lot of volume in there, and things will expand. And finally, the last tip that I have for you for an amazing Thanksgiving turkey, or really any meat, ribeye, whatever you're cooking. Turkey's no different. Allow it to rest. Give it 10-15 minutes after it's done cooking. Let it rest. Let the juices settle. Let the bird relax a little bit, and then dive in. I know, it's not that simple. Everyone's hungry. You're hungry. The whole house has been smelling delicious the entire time, but give it time to rest. Like a good steak, allow the bird to rest. I guarantee you it's worth the wait. I hope this video was helpful, and if you guys want to share your techniques and success stories, make sure you leave a comment below and share the wealth. That's it for me, guys. I hope you have a safe, happy, enjoyable Thanksgiving. Don't burn your house down. I'll catch you guys on the next one.